Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tousi TV, your global news channel. We come to you guys with some breaking news coming from Phoenix, Arizona. Charlie Kirk's memorial outside Turning Point headquarters has been attacked and vandalized. We've had a number of other attacks by the political left across the country at their different tribute sites. But we're going to show you the scenes from Phoenix. It's completely been kicking off over the last couple of days, actually. In this live stream, we're going to also give you guys the latest update on the FBI investigation. And shortly, we're going to go live to the Kennedy Center as there's going to be a vigil for Charlie. And in about a week, next Sunday, there's going to be a national memorial for Charlie Kirk, but President Trump is also going to be attending. And I can now confirm that Tousi TV, we're also going to be in Arizona at that memorial, and we'll bring you guys the live coverage. We had to make some changes in terms of the plans that we had for the honeymoon and everything else. So we are going to be trying our best to get to Phoenix for that. First things first, the 19-year-old Ryder Coral, who has actually been arrested and has received multiple charges, including criminal damage and disorderly conduct, destroyed the community memorial for Charlie Kirk at Turning Point USA's headquarters. Let's go to that moment. So that's the man in the blue intervened because at that point, the guy was just causing chaos and the police were not there. The police eventually gets there. They were obviously a few meters away. But this is yet another example. Everything you've seen over the last couple of days. We've had attacks in Phoenix. We had attacks around New York and Chicago and a number of other places where ordinary people have been setting up tribute sites for Charlie. Well, this one was slightly more formal. This is outside the Turning Point headquarters in Phoenix. We've had a lot of obviously people vandalizing these sort of sites, and it's continuing. It's not been stopped. Now, I'm going to tell you something about this guy, Ryder. Now, as we said, Ryder Coral, 19 years old. He's also, this is after obviously was now taken, he was actually wearing, you can see, he's wearing the exact same clothing as Tyler Robinson. When he decided to do that, obviously this was supposed to be symbolic, essentially implying that I agree with Tyler, and you know, we will do it again. So there have been many people who have been celebrating Charlie's death on the left, and there have been many people who've been, as I said, vandalizing Charlie's tributes across the United States. But in terms of the investigation itself, before we go live to the Kennedy Center, where the vigil is being held, well, now we know that Tyler Robinson's partner, his boyfriend, was a man who was a woman, essentially, was gender confused. Investigators are now, the FBI investigators are now expanding the investigation and their search into Charlie Kirk's assassination. They are now examining pro-trans networks, online left-wing groups, and other paid organizations and their connections to Tyler Robinson. Authorities are now digging through Steam chats and local collective, obviously called Armed Queers SLC, and also social media posts hinting that some may have known something beforehand. Obviously, Charlie Kirk was pretty much against the radical left-wing gender lobby, and he was raising awareness about the rise of mass shooters who are confused about their genders or lie about their genders. That's why the detectives are now going to be also investigating Tyler Robinson's personal connections, and also his boyfriend, who he thinks is a woman, in terms of any other left-wing group. There's indications that the authorities do believe that this was not just a job of one person. There may have been other people involved, groups, and collaborators, because Tyler right now is not cooperating with the FBI, with the police. He's currently in jail, but refuses to cooperate. Usually, if you're mad enough to do something like this, if it was just you would say, well, yes, it was me, I did it, there we go, that was me, give me the 50 minutes of fame. But clearly, obviously, there's more to this, and people like him is probably hoping that the rest of the people connected to him out there, they could continue this. So he doesn't want to sell them out. Now, as we said, President Trump is going to be attending the main formal memorial, which will be next Sunday, and we will be also attending that for you guys with the live coverage from there in Phoenix, Arizona. But President Trump earlier on also made a speech saying that he's confirmed that Charlie will be receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Let's go to that.
Friend of a lot of the people in this room, and he was a really special guy. So I'm going to be going to Charlie's, I guess you'd call it a funeral. There's the small one. I said, can we do the big one? Because we're going to give him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is a big deal. It's the civil version. It's the highest you can get. It's the equivalent of the Congressional Medal of Honor. And usually I say, I like it.
We are just getting ready, by the way, so I was the president, we're just getting ready for the vigil at the Kennedy Center. We have our live feed prepared now, and obviously the crowd are slowly getting ready. This should be ready in about 20 minutes, probably a bit sooner, but of course, as I said, we do have the live feed, so the moment that starts, we will bring you guys the live coverage. Now, going back to the situation with the authorities, there's been a lot of other investigations ongoing. There's been a lot of threats left, right, and center. In fact, we just got the confirmation that the federal authorities in Salt Lake City in Utah have arrested two suspects, a 58-year-old man, Adib Nasir, and a 31-year-old Adil Justice Ahmed Nasir. Clearly brothers, for allegedly attempting to destroy a media vehicle with an incendiary device. This was 2 days ago after, obviously, Charlie Kirk's assassination. On Friday, Salt Lake City police bomb squad and the authorities with the arson squad as well responded to a suspicious device located under a media vehicle in Salt Lake City. The device was determined to be real and had been lit but failed to function as designed. Now, due to the nature of the incidents, the FBI's field office, so to control, and then with the devices being traced back to two suspects at a residence in Magna, located on the 2700 South block of 8500 West. Yesterday, the FBI obviously severed the federal search warrant at the residence with the help of the local authorities' bomb squads to ensure that the residence was cleared of any explosive devices. Now, both suspects were found at that house, arrested, and the squad members obviously clearing the home, finding two other hoax weapons of mass destruction inside, with obviously two firearms and bomb-making equipment. So we're going to keep an eye on that situation, which is still ongoing as well in terms of the FBI investigation. Now, in terms of Charlie Kirk himself, there's been a lot of tributes all around the world. This has become obviously a major global issue. In the parliament in Poland, some MPs paid a tribute to Charlie because, according to the MPs, he was obviously brutally murdered for his convictions and for his worldview for exercising freedom of speech. One of the MPs, Matetsky, argued that Charlie Kirk's short conviction-filled videos defended the Latin Christian culture that shaped the West and inspired millions far beyond the United States. He also warned that the new Marxist ideologies seek to erode family, faith, and tradition, creating an environment where defenders of Western values are dehumanized, which is obviously correct. And there are many other issues that haven't really been addressed in terms of why, even since the assassination a few days ago, we have this audacity coming from a lot of people on the left. And these are not necessarily people who are far left. We've seen people who are technically mainstream names. Some of them are more liberal left-leaning, not necessarily Marxist, either celebrating Charlie's assassination or essentially condoning it or making excuses. Or it's been completely weird. You've had MSNBC obviously contributors, you had a lot of teachers, you had people who are like liberal celebrities. It's been a disgusting few days. So it's not really just about what happened on the day, it's also about what's happened since, and it's also about the ongoing threat, which the FBI and the White House have admitted and confirmed that they are taking that seriously, because they know that this isn't really just about one person. It's not even about Tyler Robinson. It's not even about whether he has connections, whether there are other people involved with what happened with Charlie, but also there are many others who are planning these things on a regular basis because they are advocating for it. When they tell you who they are, believe them. Now, as I said, we are just getting ready for the vigil at the Kennedy Center, which we'll get to shortly with you guys. Before we do that, let's get some reactions. We have Bill in the live chat and super chat. Thank you, Bill, saying, I hope you're enjoying your honeymoon here in the US. I am deeply sorry that this is the country you are seeing while here. America is still the most beautiful country and the most successful human experiment that we've had. Don't be ashamed and be proud of being American. They have awakened the beast. There are millions of Charlie Kirks now. This is just like MLK, and we'll never forget. Rest in peace, Charlie. Yes, they have no idea what they've done. They still have no idea. The fact that they're still celebrating or condoning it, they have no idea what they've done. Now, there was another comment. Okay. Rubate says from Australia, this stuff didn't start at the family barbecue. It started above our sites and flowed through a political entity into us from above. How do you fight it? The thing is, you need underground fights, which is the job of, for example, the White House and the FBI and institutions, authorities, but you also need the cultural shift. And this was, ironically speaking, this is exactly what my friend Charlie Kirk was doing when he started his movement, and over the last 10 years or so, the growth that we saw from Turning Point and everything else that people like Charlie did, that was already happening. The whole point of that was to do the cultural shift. You know, there was a countercultural movement. What we didn't have at the time was we didn't have the political will from the establishment themselves. I mean, what did you expect from people like Joe Biden or Kamala Harris? It was never going to happen. Or in the United Kingdom with all the prime ministers we've had, or in Canada with Justin Trudeau or Mark Carney, wherever you are. So you still need more Charlie Kirks, but you do need on the ground above in terms of the political solution for it as well. And you have actually seen the political left are making it slightly easy for the establishment now and for society. So what you've seen is a lot of people who have been celebrating Charlie's death, murder, a lot of people who have been making excuses, saying basically he deserved it and all that nonsense. As I said, we've had a number of teachers, we had celebrities. They're all basically facing the consequences, because if you are advocating for violence or if you're celebrating violence, inciting violence, this isn't really just about your opinion. That's not an opinion. That is dangerous. It's illegal and it's immoral. And they are facing the consequences. A lot of them are now being investigated. A lot of them are losing their jobs or whatever. But this is just because it's happening now. What will happen a few weeks from now, a few months from now, when the media and the establishment, generally speaking, move on from what happened to Charlie? People will remember. People will never forget. But on the surface, and then there will be many people like that idiot, what's his name? Because we had this Bob Vylan. So Bob Vylan is was an unknown rapper, if you could call it that. He was the same man who said death to the IDF recently. He's pro-Palestine. And last night, I think, in Amsterdam, he also basically said, well, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. And he was celebrating what happened to Charlie. Bob Villan essentially got away with what he did a few months ago when he was basically chanting death to the IDF, the Israelis. Because it was perceived as he's punching up. And that is the problem. Because the political left always get away with that. Well, we're just punching up, we're not punching down. It's the same with there's so-called comedy, the left-wing comedians. But in this case, you're not punching up. The man is dead. And, yes, he had a successful movement, but it was just a civilian who was very good at rallying the troops. He was not necessarily a president or prime minister. In fact, he would have become US president. That was the future for Charlie. And it's like they knew that. The overall virus of the political left, they knew the threat that was Charlie Kirk. It wasn't what he was doing now. It's what he would have achieved if he were alive now. He would have become a future president of the United States. And they don't like that. Now, there's a number of other comments from you guys. We've got Mark saying the far left radicals are little more than terrorists. Well, it's literally doing what terrorists do, advocating and inciting violence and celebrating it and doing it. That's domestic terrorism, left-wing terrorism. HN Media says phobia means irrational fear, mine's more a rational dislike. Yeah, I think the next phrase they're probably going to create is some sort of a left phobia. So that you can't even criticize the left because they that's left phobia, that's discrimination against left-wing terrorists. Mark also says we had a 1 minute silence at the free speech yesterday. Free speech yesterday? Oh, that's the United Kingdom rally. Yes, the free speech rally. Yes, of course, that was lovely to see. CNN had a front page article listing all the people who were losing their jobs and suffering the consequences of glorifying violence. CNN can't just let it go without saying something against the Charlie. Yeah, it's fascinating that when that idiot from CNBC essentially lost his job, because it's just business, it's free market, where they know that, well, if I have someone on my channel, that until now they've been getting away with a lot. The liberal media, they've been saying so much. You know how they treated the Canadian truckers back in 2021, 2022 with the protests, calling everybody a villain. Everybody is a vicious far-right Canadian, which is kind of funny. But the way they've been dealing with anti-lockdown protesters in general, anybody who basically is not one of them. But now they realize, okay, well, this isn't really just about demonizing random people. You're targeting one specific individual with a name who's now been assassinated. You can't just get away with it. Because until now, the way they do it, CNN, MSNBC, CBC, BBC, all of them, Sky, they tend to attack faceless labels. So they say, they point at a crowd, like yesterday's massive rally in London. They just point at a picture of the wider crowd saying, they're all far right. That's how they get away with it. Because how do you then respond? Because you can say, how do you know they're far right? And they don't have to respond because they say, one of them will be far right, so that counts. But in this case, when they've been going around targeting one person with a name and a legacy now, it's difficult. You now face the consequences. If they had kept that idiot on MSNBC, well, the whole channel will be in jeopardy. I mean, it's already years. It's too late for MSNBC anyway to recover, but I mean, they've already lost all their viewerships in general. Trudy says, I see you in Arizona. We are Charlie Kirk. Yes, absolutely, Trudy. I will see you all next Sunday in Phoenix. Is it next Sunday? I don't even know what's going on. Every day is the same right now for me. Yeah, next Sunday, 21st of September, Phoenix, Arizona. In church, there were more young people today. Carl said the same. Wonder if Charlie's influence had something to do with that or just a general trend. So there is a general trend, but that already started because of individuals like Charlie Kirk. So there has been a major shift in terms of younger people, not just becoming more conservative politically, but they're becoming more conservative in terms of cultural, traditional values. And that also includes community and going to church and actually believing in something, but even in terms of the community spirit that you get by going to church and feeling that there is some sort of unity, there is a tribe that you can trust the people who are there. And that was already happening. There was a general trend, but that's actually credit to people like Charlie. And they kind of essentially, they started 5-10 years ago normalizing the idea of church again for young people, because obviously we live in an ultra-liberal secular society. You're still free to do whatever you want, nothing wrong with that, but there was no one to actually promote the foundation, the fundamental values that would allow you to have a liberal secular society. The reason you're allowed to have a liberal secular society is because the West is based on Christian values, biblical values. Then you can have your freedom. But you have to ensure that you keep pushing for the foundation. If you lose the foundation, if the Christian values go away, the biblical values go away, then it's chaos. And we've been seeing chaos. You've seen in Seattle, you've seen in California, obviously not all of California, but the big cities, for example, like LA. You've seen in London. So there has been a shift, but I can assure you, my feeling is that since a few days ago, you are now also going to be seeing more young people, more than even last week, more than 2 weeks ago, going to church. So, I would say, including today and next week. Charlie says, when Mossad did it, he noticed and they didn't like it. Oh, it's the Jews. Oh, the Jews. The Jew hatred is simply those who have, they don't just have mental issues, but they have, it's always the background. Goes back to, I know it's simplifying Freud, because there will be those who would say, well, Freudianism it makes it black and white, but actually it always goes back to your upbringing. It goes back to your relationship with your parents, but also your environment as a child. If you're raised by being told that it doesn't matter if something goes wrong in your life, or if you're paranoid about something, if you don't have an answer for something, you need to find a scapegoat. When you were a kid, you were told there's a boogeyman under the bed. There's a monster. The human version of that, the earth version of that, is the Jews from day one. They were the easy targets from day one. And the fact that they kept surviving and surviving, despite the attempts to wipe them out, they became more of a boogeyman from the perspective of those who have issues. So like, well, clearly the Jews are basically Martian lizards, for example. So don't worry about these things. It's not really, you can't take the anti-Jews seriously. It's different to, for example, those who are just socialists or anti-capitalists, or I don't know, even like ultra-liberals, because those are just worldviews, and there are political differences. Sometimes it's just a political difference. You can get along with someone who is slightly more liberal-leaning, but you're conservative-leaning. There are sometimes just political differences. With all the respect, we can still get along. There's also then the worldview difference. I could never get along with people like, for example, Bill Gates, because he has a whole different worldview of how humanity should be managed as he would see it. That's a different worldview. I can't get along with him. It becomes dangerous. He can't make compromises. I can't make compromises. These guys, the issue with that, you can't not just debate. It's not really about debating or not debating. You can't take him seriously, because there needs to be a psychiatrist dealing with that, and most of the time, even they fail. If the Jews were so powerful, they would have eliminated their enemies next door quickly, but they're still struggling. Anyway, going back to the sane humans, Coffee and Cake says Bob Villain is pure filth. Yeah, the thing is, he's using that to keep increasing his platform and his popularity. He's not popular. He's become more famous, infamous, but not popular. He's increasing some of the crazies of his base. Some more people listening to his stupid music, but there will be a massive downfall if you haven't seen it yet. People didn't have to agree with him to respect what he was doing. When he was hit, it felt as if the Constitution was shed. When he died, it felt like the First Amendment died. This hit everyone. Yes. Stu says crimes against King are punching up, still treason. Yes, that's true. What's this? At the pub, 4 people chatting how 140,000 people turned up at their rally, and it was depressing, and another gimp that made the joke about Charlie Kirk. That's the thing. So there's been 2 things happening at the same time over the last couple of days. Obviously, a few days ago, Charlie, and since yesterday, what happened in London, the United Kingdom rally led by my good friend Tommy Robinson. both topics, it's not just the media, but actually random leftists sitting in a restaurant, sitting in a pub, in a taxi. They are obsessed. So with Charlie, they're obsessed with making excuses, saying it was his fault, or whatever. With what happened yesterday in London, they're obsessed with talking about, oh, actually, it was only 10,000 people, or this. This is a win because those two topics are living in their heads rent-free. So they're just obsessed because they don't know what to do. Because their usual method is to just shut down the debate, dehumanize and humiliate the opponent, saying they're not normal, ignore them. They make fun and move on. Now they're obsessed. They keep talking and talking and talking, and they don't get anywhere. We have more comments coming. I'm just going to check out the live feed from the Kennedy Center. They're still getting ready. This should be starting within the next 5 minutes, but the way I'm looking at it, I don't think they're going to start in 5 minutes, but usually there's a bit of a delay anyway. But we will come back to the Kennedy Center where the vigil for Charlie Kirk will be starting soon, the prayer vigil. Going back, we're going to go back to the, I think, members of the channel as well, but quickly, let's go to Alexander saying, who is celebrating Charlie's death are sick, but don't forget Trump from his first campaign. I hope a gun enthusiast will take care of Hillary. This is the whole thing about what I always said about why the liberal side lose and why the conservative side win. Because the liberal side take Trump literally, but not seriously. They don't take him seriously. How is a clown, but they take him literally. But the other side, the conservative side, take him seriously, but not literally. And there's a reason for that. So this is a perfect example of that. Stanley says a video game controller hobbles along unhappily with a broken arm. Now, I wonder if we do have the... Yes, we do have the members of Tousi TV Plus. Let's quickly get some reaction from you guys. If you want to become a member, you can scan the QR code right here or just find the link in the description. Go on tousi.tv. You get access to this as well as everything else that we have. They do it, disruption and vandalizing, hoping for a reaction to label us. One of the reasons. I do not give them that excuse in retaliation. The way we have behaved so far is angering them even more. And let them paint their own picture. Do not retaliate. That's the thing. I was really worried. And by the way, everybody's on edge. The whole country is on edge. The whole of the Western world is on edge. Anything could happen at any moment because everybody's angry, right? Having said that, I was really worried. The day it happened, I was like, okay, this they've crossed the line, and many lines, by taking out Charlie. I was expecting a massive retaliation on day one. Once again, the conservative side proved that they are the civil side. But there's always a limit, by the way. Anything could happen again. Having said that, everybody's been behaving as this person said. In fact, when the memorial was being attacked, the man who basically tackled the guy, Ryder, only just brought him down to the ground. He didn't start hitting him, for example. We have the memorial now. If we could get this going soon.
Those whose courage, conviction, and clarity light the way for others. Today, we remember one such voice.
This is not just the story of a man. It is the story of a movement built on faith, resilience, and the unyielding pursuit of liberty.
It's a movement led by a man who dared to stand tall.
So I think it's starting now. So this should actually technically start in the next, well, 15 seconds. That was the official time. So there we go. I think they're starting.
We're active in about 15 campuses, and we're growing very, very quickly. And keep in mind, this is not just a flash in the pan movement. We're going to become an institution to give them the power and the confidence to stand up and let their voice be heard. I started this organization when I was 18 years old. I decided not to go to college. I didn't get my dream school, which was the United States Military Academy at West Point. I had this idea to galvanize and motivate the future youth of this country around a core set of ideas, not just political parties or politicians. And the ideas are really America's the greatest country in the history of the world. Constitution is the greatest political document ever written. Free enterprise is the most assured way to lift people out of poverty and create prosperity for all. Those are the three big ideas. And I think that's something that can win. We as Christians are called to go into the public arena to correct error with truth. So I go to college campuses and there's a lot of error. We're all sinners. We all live in error. I'm far more interested in what God wants of me than what I want from God.
I have to say this without getting emotional, but I'm very proud of my husband. And I know many of you are too. You have worked so hard. And I know a lot of you have seen, obviously, his videos on TikTok and all the stuff he does on campus. But no one gets to see him from my angle except for myself and our children.
Poor kids.
And the sacrifices that he made this year, he's amazing. I'm very blessed.
And I would not have been able to do any of it without Erica. And that's the real truth. I'll tell you what. You are here as a grassroots response to the top-down revolution happening in this country. I want our Turning Point USA students to receive a round of applause. These are the freedom fighters of America.
The media said that Turning Point could never run a ground game. They weren't experienced. They didn't know Charlie, right?
This is the greatest generational realignment since Woodstock. This generation is the most conservative generation that we have seen in well over 50 years, and the numbers show it. What young people especially are screaming at is they say, give me a structure that I can live my life by. And especially with young men, more challenging of them, more saying, you know what, honestly, I'm not going to talk down to you. Stop being a boy and become a man. You want to learn what that means? Come to church and I'll tell you what it means to become a man. Because we have the greatest story ever told. What can I do to save the country? You answer that question every single day. Because you are doing the work to save this beautiful republic. You are doing something that is bigger than you.
If everything completely goes away, how do you want to be remembered? I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. Most important thing to my faith.
Alright, I think they're going to come now. By the way, we do have the confirmation that Israel are now going to be naming one of the squares in the country after Charlie Kirk's name in tribute for his support of the Jewish nation and the state of Israel. They haven't started yet.
Is it possible to say, you know what, I don't like the way the country is going, and to do something about it? Take that risk. Take that leap of faith. Stay involved. Trust God and act obediently. Romans 12:2 verse. That God will use all things, for good for those who love Him. It's bigger than you. I want you to remember, it is bigger than you. It's bigger than me. You are here to make somebody else's life better, to pursue liberty and freedom. You know what gives me strength? The hundreds of thousands of you that say, Charlie, keep going.
1 Corinthians 5 and 15. So that's all pretty amazing evidence. Not just intra-biblical evidence, but extra-biblical evidence that Jesus Christ was a real person. He lived a perfect life. He was crucified, died, and rose on the third day, and He is Lord and God.
Charlie Kirk with Maggio News. I'm a recent high school graduate.
So yeah, we can see they are now getting ready at the Kennedy Center for Charlie Kirk's vigil, prayer vigil. Let's go back. I think they're sorting out the sound because they brought down the volume from the actual screen. I think the microphones are getting ready. Hopefully it's not going to jump up. Right, while we're here, I'm just going to also get some reaction from you guys in the live chat. I've missed a couple of super chats while we wait for them to start officially. It's still showing some videos. Who do we have? Wallace, thank you very much for your super chat. And we've got, there's a vet saying, the 21st is also back to church Sunday. We love you, Tousi. Thank you. Star Helix says Starmer's message on the free speech was a joke. Kirk would have been arrested if he were British. Starmer out soon, hopefully. Yep. Get Squirrely says forgiveness is how we disarm them and move forward. Charlie, was it to be Christian-like in his actions, and so should we be in our own. Bob versus Winchell says Charlie's legacy may surpass Trump's. That's a lot. His legacy is going to be on a wider level in terms of the cultural level, not just political level. That's why. Yep, to be fair, people came in very quickly. 5 minutes before this started, the vigil. Those seats were still empty, but now they're all sitting down. As I said, if you joined us late, next Sunday on the 21st of September, there's going to be the National Memorial for Charlie Kirk in Phoenix, Arizona, which President Trump is going to be attending, as well as Tousi TV, myself and Danielle. We're going to be there with our team to also cover this for you. And see what is happening. So that's next Sunday. They've got more videos showing. Alright, let's just get ready for the vigil.
16 campuses, and we're growing very, very quickly. And keep in mind, this is not just a collection of pan movement. We're going to become an institution to give them the power and the confidence to stand up and let their voice be heard.
I started this organization when I was 18 years old. I decided not to go to college. I didn't get my dream school, which was the United States Military Academy at West Point. I had this idea to galvanize and motivate the future youth of this country around a core set of ideas, not just political parties or politicians. The ideas are really America's the greatest country in the history of the world. Constitution is the greatest political document ever written. Free enterprise makes sure the way to lift people out of poverty and create prosperity for all. Those are the three big ideas. And I think that's something that can win.
We as Christians are called to go into the public arena to correct error with truth. So I go to college campuses and there's a lot of error. We're all sinners. We're all living error. I'm far more interested in what God wants of me than what I want from God.
I have to say this without getting emotional, but I'm very proud of my husband. And I know many of you are too. You have worked so hard. And I know a lot of you have seen, obviously, his videos on TikTok and all the stuff he does on campus. But no one gets to see him from my angle except for myself and my children. And the sacrifices that he made this year, he's immense. I'm very glad.
And I would not have been able to do any of it without Erica. And that's the real truth. I'll tell you what.
You are here as a grassroots response to the top-down revolution happening in this country. I want our Turning Point USA students to receive a round of applause. These are the freedom fighters of America.
The media said the Turning Point could never run a ground game. They weren't experienced. They didn't know Charlie, right?
This is the greatest generational realignment since Woodstock. This generation is the most conservative generation that we have seen in well over 50 years, and the numbers show it. What young people especially are screaming at is they say, give me a structure that I can live my life by. And especially with young men, more challenging of them, more saying, you know what, honestly,
Right, okay, so
stop being a boy and a man. You want to learn what that means? Come to church and I'll tell you what it means to become a
I get some comments from the members of the channel as well.
What can I do to save the country? You answer that question every single day. Because
We are Charlie. I'm absolutely shattered. They have now created millions of Charlie Kirks. The left has lost the script and their mind, if they had any. Mazda says, finally, I've been waiting for days to hear something about the trans posting about something big is coming for Charlie tomorrow, the day before he died. Yep, the investigation continues into those groups. TNR Girl says that we have a large network of groups here in Phoenix that are working to protect both the memorials and the people who go there to pray and leave flowers. The groundswell of support is becoming a tidal wave. No use of force allowed. Yep. Now, there is also more comments here. There we go. Templar says, I'm proud of the reaction of the right. So many people are livid about what's happened, but as a general rule, we haven't sunk to their level. God rest Charlie's soul. Yep. Another comment says there were a lot more than 150,000 at the rally yesterday. Try millions. Yep. Plus the millions watching live stream. Yeah, I think that was. I think the total view was like tens of millions after Tommy Robinson's feed himself. Neil says, I hope that some of the people that encouraged or aided the shooter are also convicted. I hope the father accepts the $100,000 and donates it to Charlie's widow. No, to be fair, what we have heard actually is there was one phone call that changed everything. While the FBI and local law enforcement were trying their best underground to figure out where the suspect was, one of Tyler Robinson's friends, because there was a phone call or a message between them, and that basically became the obvious indication of who it is and where the person could be. Obviously, then his father also basically handed him over, basically at that point. So there were other indications, let's just say Tyler's friends. No. Someone said non-super chats as well. We got for the session. David says he's wearing the same shirt as the assassin, isn't he? Yeah, he was. This is the rider Coral guy who attacked the memorial earlier on in Phoenix.
Very special hour episode for you today. My wife joins us, Kirk, the beautiful legendary Kirk.
More people are coming in now.
Jesus saved my life. I'm a sinner. Gave my life to Christ. Most important decision I ever made. And the resurrection is the pinpoint of my belief that Jesus did rise from the grave so that we may live. So grateful.
Vincent says the right isn't for violence, the left is. While they are trying to justify this horrible act, we are uniting and being stronger. A conservative revolution is on the rise worldwide. I agree. They're just not pleasant people. You know, they live with hate, and they will die with hate. Also, where we are right now in Florida, almost actually every single American flag, even flying on top of restaurants and other buildings. So not necessarily just governmental ones. So we saw Red Lobster and a few other places. They've all lowered the flag. So the humanity side is still there. Let's just say the left don't represent everybody or everything. Mark says Charlie's wife Erica is going to become a global force for good in the future. Yes, the thing is she's there right now, rightly so, absolutely furious. And the political left have also spent the last couple of days attacking her for being angry, saying, how dare she? She's angry. Oh, she's saying angry things. Really? After what happened? As she said herself, Erica, they have no idea what they've done. See you in Phoenix, Tousi. So glad you're coming. See you all there, guys. Richard Super Chat says every dollar or pound in funding from Qatar in the system needs investigation now. That's the other thing that Kash Patel is doing, and the FBI.
It was a cowardly and vile act of violence carried out to silence one of America's boldest Christian conservative voices.
Charlie was born in Washington. He was a fearless defender of truth and a faithful servant of God.
His assassination was not just an attack on Charlie, it was an attack on free speech and the values Charlie championed.
Together, we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come.
In a world where voices are silenced and truth is often drowned out by the noise of the moment, there are those who rise above the fray, those whose courage, conviction, and clarity light the way for others. Today, we remember one such voice. This is not just the story of a man. It is the story of a movement built on faith, resilience, and the unyielding pursuit of liberty.
It's a movement led by a man who dared to stand tall, who spoke truth when others hesitated, who fought for the values that define us as a nation. That's the legacy of Charlie Kirk.
As we look back on his journey, we celebrate the moments that shaped him, the battles he fought, and the indomitable spirit that will continue to inspire generations to come.
This is where Charlie Kirk stood. We will do it. Charlie Kirk.
We're acting about 15 campuses, and we're growing very, very quickly. And keep in mind,
And I think there we have a couple of more comments.
to give them the power and the confidence to stand
Andrew says, time for renewal in the UK and the US. God bless everyone. Angel of Christ says, Charlie, your voice is now louder than ever. And at a crossroads, been a CTO for 15 and want to move to a more meaningful role. It's hard to balance what's right versus what we use to sustain income. I'm just trying to get some update on the start time for the vigil itself. What we'll do is we'll come back to you guys once everything is set up. It's going to be a while. But we'll keep you guys posted shortly once the live feed itself is prepared and the speeches and everything else. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Tousi, and we are the media.